So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, uh, or if it's the middle of the night, I really don't know what to say. Thank you for joining Carpel's unboxing. Well, I guess today we are unboxing Carpel and not really unboxing AI. But this is the Unboxing AI webinar series by Carpel. If you don't know what this is, then how? But yes, this is every week, 11 a.m. Eastern. Carpool, we bring together our friends, collaborators, customers, partners, talk about the world of AI, talk about their work, try to learn something, and prioritize questions that you may have over everything else. Today, for good or bad, our original guest had to drop out, and then I faced technical difficulties, so I'm having to do this by my phone. But all is not lost because I invited two of my colleagues, Dhruv and Shruti, to come onto the webinar and share with us why they would leave their relatively cushy, exponentially high-paying corporate lives and jump over to try to unbox this world of AI through Carpel. And for those of you who don't know what Carpel is, well, your friendly neighborhood AI platform, world's biggest AI marketplace, bringing radiology AI applications into clinical workflows. Think of us as an ML ops platform. We help you build, test, deploy, and monitor all sorts of radiology AI, single user interface, single data channel, single procurement channel. And yes, so Dhruv, Shruti, thank you for agreeing to do this. And we'll see who will roast who. But yes, Dhruv, why don't you give us a short introduction of life prior to Kapil?
Of course, life prior to CARPL. So I am a lawyer by qualification, and I've always been a mergers and acquisitions lawyer, helping early stage startups, helping structure them, build them over, and hand-holding them for the early stage funding. And beyond that, I am an automotive enthusiast and also an avid scuba diver and a squash player. At Kapul, I serve as the chief operating officer. I look after all operative verticals like legal, finance, admin, HR, and also all AI partnerships. That's a little bit about me. I did not know this was going to be a roast, but now I look forward to it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see which direction it goes in. And yeah, Dhruv also used to fly business class.
Oh, yeah.
Talking about life prior to couple. And yeah, Shruti, let's hear it.
Yeah, so I'm Shruti and I did my MBA from NMIMS Mumbai and I've always worked with healthcare or health tech companies in the past. My career started with GE Healthcare. I was part of the commercial leadership program there. Have always done key initiatives with the leadership there and lot of so GE treated us like as a university. So I still have a lot of respect of whatever we learned there. So it was more of like a college sort of a feeling post MBA where there was a lot of freedom, yet, a lot of responsibilities and ownership. And I used to run one of the global programs for key opinion leader management there. And from GE to Philips, I was the global product manager for IT professional services. Then I've worked with a few startups in health tech, including Innovator. And now I'm here at Carpool, leading marketing for radiology AI platform.
It's so interesting that one tends to forget that you guys have actually done a lot. So I think the first question that comes to mind is, uh, were you dissatisfied with what you were doing, or was this just something that came about and you decided that okay, let's jump in. Maybe Shruti will go first this time.
Yeah, so I think it was neither. It was just like, for me, it was more of wanting to work in a more impactful role. So I always wanted to work either in education or healthcare. And that always helped me choose my next role or my next job. And when I actually met Vidur, I thought that, it's very difficult to sort of run your own company. So if I can get that sort of a safety net, if you will, and still sort of have a lot of freedom to create new things, work with large teams, experiment, and do something which is very real, and you can actually see what's happening on ground, and whatever campaigns or messaging, whatever strategy you're making, you can actually see them go live in like 3 weeks instead of like 3 years. So I think that was my motivation.
Wow, very cool. So essentially, uh, it is relatively fast paced. Obviously, it is, right? Like we get to do stuff and then decide 24 hours before that you're supposed to do a webinar, and then you measure the impact and the number of people that are there. So so yeah, fast paced for sure. And Dhruv, why?
So, good question. Why? I have not, I wouldn't say I've been dissatisfied. I have had three entrepreneurial ventures prior to CARPL, all in a very consultative role. And what drew me to CARPL is the more relevant question. And what drew me to CARPL was the sheer excitement. I was fortunate to work initially with CARPL as the general counsel handling legal. So I got an inside, well, a bit of a taste of CARPL before I decided to jump ship. And it was the sheer excitement. I mean, it may sound cliche, but it made me feel like I was back in my 20s mentally, but my body, of course, still is in its late 30s. So the sheer excitement, always being on your toes, the fast-paced thing, and of course now goes without saying. I didn't realize it at the time, but now that I've joined Carpal and been here for over a year and a half, the impact, and I wouldn't say, this is not just any startup. It's the impact. I mean, our motto of patients first. It deeply appeals to me, and it drives me, and it's very rewarding to feel that everything that we do today will help in making lives better. So I mean that's the switch, and that's why I'm very happy about the switch.
So it's not the fact that you get to travel all over the world, have go to the best bars in each of the best cities out there and pretend to sell AI.
So it is, but going to bars with Vidur is when my body actually feels that it's 38, while my mind's still somewhere in the mid 20s. So yeah, Vidur is it's a roast, right? So so Vidur is a tough one to go to with a bar because we don't know when to stop then.
I I don't disagree. So, guys, switching tracks a little bit, right? Like I would love for both of you to, there's a lot of people out there. We talk to a lot of people out there, try to convince them to join startups, right? But obviously, it takes a toll, right? There is like, of course, there's the work that we do, but then there is no doubting the emotional roller coaster that comes with it. So would love for you guys to, as far as you can publicly, maybe share uh, what is not good about moving to a startup. And yeah, maybe this is the part where I get roasted, but yes. So Dhruv, why don't you go first this time? Yeah.
What is not good about joining a startup? It's that's a tough one, Vidur. I mean, it's I guess handling multiple things and trying to do multiple things at the same time, trying to manage time, uh, manage both professional and personal time. But I know it's more of a passion thing, right? If you're driven passionately for the cause that the startup is working for, i don't I don't see it. I mean, there is an emotional roller coaster, yes, but maybe, see, my perspective is I have been an entrepreneur myself, run my own consulting companies, and in which case there's always ups and downs. It's always been sort of a roller coaster. But challenge. I mean, what do I not like about that's a tough one, Vidur. I think it's time management is the biggest challenge. Uh, I don't see any challenge beyond time management.
Interesting. Shruti,
So
no challenges?
for me, it's the IT help desk or the travel desk, which we could probably just call it like 2 a.m. and say, okay, can you just shift my flight or my hotel or whatever. And then if I have to sort of, I got a customer meeting set up for next morning and everything is like super sorted. You can do through an app or whatever. So I think that's something which I sometimes miss. But then again, I think there is so many other things which sort of balances that out that you get. So honestly, I feel that for anybody who's working in any large organization, and I'm not sure how many people, here who are attending understand what these large conferences or these academic medical centers which CARPL works with. So I feel sometimes had I been at GE or Philips or some large company, it would have taken me like minimum 7 more years to be there, to meet those customers or maybe, go to that conference and represent either the Southeast Asian market or something like that. So I think that is something which is very exciting and, just keeps us going every day.
So that's very interesting, Shruti. So I've actually not thought about this ever. So you're saying that, uh, well, now it seems fairly obvious that, so being at a small startup, you are uh, able to get exposure that is of the level of way ahead at a as opposed to a large company. Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? If you look at our team, also, like, it's not that we have, like, the oldest team member is actually on this call, and you know,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. Cool. And so, but Shruti, like, beyond the logistics, etc. So I am going to push you guys on this a little bit, right? Like, uh, or are we emotionally just I have not worked in corporate ever. I've not, worked in consulting ever. Is that also as much of a roller coaster as this is?
So I mean, to add to that, Vidur, because of course I have the consulting background. Consulting is, of course, a roller coaster. But you know what Shruti said is the emotional investment to reward ratio at a startup is so much. It's so much more rewarding. See, if you invest yourself into a startup, there is exponential growth, which is not true for the well-established corporates, where you take your own time to grow. A hierarchical system is in place, and I mean it's very well-established systems. In a startup, you are inventing everything as you go along. I mean, you're innovating as you go. It's very dynamic and it's exciting. So I mean, that's my take on this.
Right. So I think we wear so many unexpected hats. So when we were shifting from the smaller office to the larger office, right? So I didn't know that I'll get to sort of just go and buy some nice cafe furniture for ourselves. So and then so it's just very different, and then you feel very invested overall that this is what you started, or that feeling I think is something which again is keeps you motivated every day.
Interesting. So how do you, like, do you guys ever think that, so, like, I think we have been, from a team size perspective, at least, if not doubling, growing by like 50 to 75% every year, right? Like, I think, like, now we're at about 55, 60 people. I think last year this time we were wondering, have we taken a office that is too big for us? And now we're wondering, have we taken an office that is too small for us? So, but as you look forward, right, this means that, knock on wood, if we are successful from a team size, revenue, whatever perspective, uh, we should be, um, you know, 3x, 4x of where we are right now in the next 2 to 3 years, right? So, what is it that we should preserve, uh, from a startup perspective as we start growing towards a larger company? And I think, Shruti, you have the benefit of, having worked at, say, Innovator, we all look up to them, like crazy. Um, So I'd be very curious to understand, like your thoughts on, as we grow, what should we keep and maybe what should we let go?
Right. So I think, so I feel Carpool is one of those startups which has, there is a lot of emotional attachment to customers, stakeholders, employees, and which I felt from like day one when I walked into the office. So, and that's not there in all companies. So I meet like a lot of friends and some of the founders who run different companies. So even though they want to do it at the top level, but the people, the engineers, the product teams don't get to feel it. But here I am, and I always used to tell this to you that you're so blessed that even though we are working with people like typical Gen Zs here, but they still have that much of motivation, and they are able to do whatever they have to for the vision, for the mission of the company, right? And that's not sort of present everywhere in like each when I speak to like people over post dinner walks or something, people struggle so much to sort of retain talent sometimes. So I think that is something which we should definitely carry forward as we grow. uh, I think some of the leaders at Couple have like with whatever backgrounds they have, and uh, I would say that being humble is another thing which is very important. And as for those people who are growing up the ladder in Couple itself and now managing like large teams, so I think that quality definitely helps in sort of you know uh, getting to the next level. So definitely.
We should do these sessions without them being broadcasted to the whole world also sometime. No, interesting, nice. And what should we let go?
So I
I'm
think.
sure Arjun is there taking notes somewhere on the call. But yeah, go ahead.
So I always felt that based on the number of people and like our stage, we are thinking a little ahead in terms of if I have to think about employees and my colleagues, which is very good. Like Dhruv is always on point to make processes for certain things, and sometimes we feel that okay, there was no process last year, and why is this like a question mark now? So I think what we need to sort of just take care of that everybody feels part of this change and they sort of respect this change as it comes. And they should not feel that, 5 years back, something was happening this way. And yeah, so that is something which I would say. And the other thing which I felt that, while we are now progressing in our journey, one thing which all of us have to be very, careful about is that we have to be a little less emotional about certain things because like in terms of customers, in terms of employees, in terms of everything. But I know it is very difficult based on my previous answer that you have to be humble and you have to be, very, very concerned about what's happening on ground. So I think those things really matter to me at least.
Interesting. Nice. So what you're saying is in terms of preservation, we should obviously preserve the passion, the motivation, and the humility. Uh, and as we grow, the level of attachment uh,
Yes.
is going to differ, right? Like one person is going to be handling that much more, and all of that. So pretty cool. Dhruv, what do you think? What should we let go?
What we should preserve, and Vidur, I still remember, the first time you introduced me in a full team meeting. It was, I think, more than a year and a half ago. And it was the first time I learned about Kapil culture and Kapil principles. And those principles really appeal to me. I feel no matter how big we get, and touch wood we would, we should never let go of those principles. Uh,
Marketing works, Shruti. Marketing works.
those, those, I think Shruti and I were introduced at the same team meeting,
Yes.
if I remember correctly.
Oh
But
yes,
uh,
yes,
but yeah,
yes.
those principles. I mean, that's what Kapil is, and we should never change that. Beyond that, the culture. I mean, it is an evolving culture, but the culture where everyone can speak to everyone. We try to empathize. That degree of empathy in all of us towards our colleagues, I think, and understanding. I think that's phenomenal. On the client side of things, on the customer side of things, I just love the hands-on approach that we have, and often what happens, and I have been part of journeys of startups and on the lawyer side of things, but you see as companies grow bigger and bigger and larger, that hands-on approach, that relationship with the customers, it keeps getting diluted. I feel we should preserve that. That's I mean, our customers are what makes us, and we should honor that. That's what we should preserve. And on what we should change, Shruti did briefly touch upon that, but just to add on to that, is the ability to adapt, is change the unwillingness to accept change, because I very strongly believe in the theory of evolution. And I mean, you have to evolve every single day, every single moment in your life. So that's essential in my view.
Interesting. So we are now getting in a couple of questions. So first is from an anonymous attendee. Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? Yeah, if you've already, reached the top of the equivalent at a large company, where do you go 5 years from now? You stay where you are. I don't
Oh
know.
man, I never knew we would get job interview questions on this one.
Well, we did tell the team that they can ask anything.
Yes.
You
Are we
can't
are we are
disclose
we are we giving out answers for future interviews, or are we answering this?
it. I think you're giving hints to people who want to apply to CARPL.
Well, I'll actually answer that. Where do I see myself 5 years from now? My I had a vision when I joined Kabul, and I stay true to that vision. I see us today being the world's largest radiology marketplace. I see this evolving into a healthcare marketplace, going beyond just radiology.
No, no, no.
Uh,
Dhruv, where do you see you 5 years from today?
well, driving
Ah,
that driving, of course. That's what I meant. Driving that, I mean, being a true blood marketplace, making sure that I am able to play a role
I
in.
think, that is so insightful that uh, as you go earlier and earlier stage, your vision of what you do essentially becomes the same as the vision of what the company does, right?
Absolutely.
Because you are the company,
Precisely.
right? So that's actually interesting. Shruti, where do you see yourself 5 years from today?
So I think 5 years down the lane, maybe handling more
Closer
people.
to office, yeah. Closer to office, please.
Yeah, definitely. Closer to office is one, but then maybe bring office closer to my home. So I don't know.
Yes,
Combine
Gurgaon
everything.
office coming up. Now that you've said, let the roast begin.
Yes. So, and then obviously like handling, more customers, more teams, and having like more structured approach in what we are doing with like 10 right now and figuring out how do we scale to 100. So, a lot of processes, a lot of automation. Like, I see a lot of learning happening in this journey.
Nice. In the interest of time, I will not ask follow-up questions. But yes, so this is a question from Anushri, of course. Can you both list two, if not three things that you have learned from your past consulting work lives, and you still use them in your current role very diligently? Hmm. So, Shruti, why don't you go
So
first?
for me, I think writing everything, like just taking notes, or I think when I joined Kapil, I sort of did not do it a lot. But now
Hmm.
with the team growing and having so many conversations around different functions and the entire partnerships vertical sort of coming up, I think writing everything makes me, come on point, and which is something which I used to do very diligently before coming to Kapil. And then always listening to the customers. So, so for example, if I'm handling anything in terms of the entire channel partnership program, which Couple runs now, so making sure that the customer requirements are, met timely, and keeping the brand flag always high. So I think that is something which I always push forward to, that please use the right logos, please use the right communication, whatever is like sort of standardized. So that's something which I have learned from my past experience. I continue to sort of use it here every day at work.
Nice. And Dhruv?
So, to begin with, of course, one thing that I've learned and I believe in is communication is key. Always communicate, whether it's with your peers, whether it's to clients. I very strongly believe that any email must be responded to within 24 hours. Never keep a conversation or a client hanging. That's top of my list. The second thing is always have a solution oriented approach. Be the person who provides solutions. If you see a problem, if you see an issue, think of the solution that you can present to solve the problem rather than just talk about the problem itself.
Interesting. Again, in the interest of time, since you have both said at least two things. Anonymous attendee. Why anonymous? Yeah. Share your best moment at Carpal till now. Oh, probably the person asking it could have biased you. So yeah, good move, anonymous attendee. Uh, yeah, best moment at Carpal. 15 seconds each. Dhruv first.
I have two.
Huh.
My first best moment at Carpal was just before I joined Carpal. I went for the Ranska conference, and I think that was actually a defining point in why I chose to join Carpal. Uh, I mean the people that I met, the way that we presented ourselves, it was unbelievable. So that was one of my best moments at Kapil. And the second was, and maybe I'm a little biased because it was the offsite, but we did a big offsite this year, and to see it all come together, to see the organization come together, to see everyone doing different functions at Kapil, people who'd never even spoken to each other coming together, bonding during this offsite. That for me was my best moment.
Interesting.
For
I think many
me,
people will share that.
I
Yeah.
think so for me,
There's like a
ceremony.
there's like a rainfall of questions now. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, the best moment was we coming into the Saket office like just in 40 days of when we saw that raw thing to what it is right now. So that was like true magic for me, and whatever little I could do to make it happen in those 40 days was like super amazing. And I still like tell everybody in my family, like everybody just keeps asking me all the time that you're going to this conference and you're spending so much money. How much business have you got for the company? Like this is the first question when this is like asked when I come back home, and or are you just spending money? So that is my like best moment. And the second is I think RSNA. So attending RSNA last year, and looking at so many like all the radiologists, doctors, and clinicians really sort of coming up to our booth, getting to know more about Kabul and sort of engaging with this entire new concept at that time. For me, so that was like the second best thing for me.
Nice. Cool. So I will just go very fast. Then I will take Sankalp's question last because I think it's the only serious question there. Um, so question from Arjun Agarwal. And both of you just go. I will not like if whoever wants to answer. Would you change the couple name if you could? If yes, what would you change it to?
Well, my answer is no, because it's now an identity that one relates to, and us at Carpool
Would you put
know.
like a double L or the extra A or something?
No, I mean, I mean, unless we're moving to an Ekta Kapoor serial, no. But but no, I wouldn't change the name because I know what it stands for. It's derived from caring, and I think caring defines exactly what we want to do. So no, I would not change the name. Shruti.
So for me, I think I asked Vidur that if we can sit and do this branding exercise. I never wanted to change the name. I think it was more on the tagline and everything around it. But I think caring, if we can have caring on like carpool, so it just becomes very self-explanatory or something because I have to always explain what carpool does. So that might help. But I don't have
Cool.
an answer right now.
Last,
What it should.
second last question from Arjun. Just being mindful of the time. Sorry, Shruti.
Yeah.
Uh, but interesting that we can include caring somehow. Yeah. So, if Dhruv's best moment was before he joined Carpel, then does that mean things have only been downhill since then?
Now it's
This is
now it's, au- now
from
it's an
Arjun.
audience roast, huh?
Of course.
No, Arjun, it's not been downhill at all. In fact, there have been so many fun moments. But like I said, the offside was the next one, and I'm sure by the time we do the next round of discussions on
Basically,
this,
basically for people who are listening in, Dhruv's best moments revolve around alcohol. So simple.
So essentially, Dhruv's best moments revolve around Vidur.
Oh my
So
God.
so yeah. So no, they've not been downhill at all. The offsite was fun. I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm looking forward to
Okay,
RSM.
cool. Sorry, Dhruv, I'm going to cut
I know.
you very
Sorry,
rudely.
yeah.
Last question from Sankalp. This is for Shruti. How do you think marketing will evolve as we grow in the next few years? Uh, would you think it would be different from now as we move into the next stages?
Yes, I think Sankalp is going to be very different.
So maybe, Shruti, I will add another angle to it. One is, how would marketing at Couple grow, and second is, uh, what do you think can be the role of AI in marketing? And then we'll close on that.
Right. So I'll answer the second question first. So right now, as at least Sankalp knows how we do things. A lot of AI and automation will come into play in terms of how we scale our current efforts in terms of either branding or reach outs and making sure that everybody recognizes CARPL.ai. So currently, our goal is to make sure that there is a lot of brand awareness and mindshare about the company itself. And as we grow, I assume that everybody would already know what CARPL.ai is. And then my job is to make sure that everybody knows about our products and features, and they have the latest information about our platform, like at their desk or just on a phone call. So that's how the marketing team is the marketing will evolve at CARPL over the next few years.
Fantastic. Amazing. Thank you, Dhruv. Thank you, Shruti. We should certainly do an offline version of this. And
Yeah, we didn't get
awesome.
to ask
Thank you,
more
everybody, for
questions.
joining, and thank you for the question.
Okay, thank you so
Those will
much.
be offline. See you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Bye.